Welcome to Newsline. I'm Mary Morrill.
And I'm Peter Short. Tonight on the program, US fighter jets could be coming to Australia, while Johnny Depp's dogs Pistol and Boo are leaving. We'll be asking why postgraduate students can't get concession fares for public transport, and why our imported seafood is not being adequately tested for contamination.
Food company Covina Farms will continue to work with a labour hire firm involved in the Modern Delhi slavery scandal. Covina said it had cut its tie with Trump after the ABC Four Corners program uncovered widespread exploitation and underpayment of foreign workers. The split didn't last long. The ABC reports today that Covina have registered a new company with Chopran's labour hire representative. Victorian Minister for Industrial Relations Natalie Hutchins told the ABC Online the allegations of the new deal are extremely concerning. Earlier this month, the state government announced an inquiry into labour practices to crack down on exploitation.
A new study of contemporary hunter-gatherer tribes suggests gender equality was evident among our ancestors. The study, published in American journal Science, shows communities of men and women in the Congo and the Philippines share responsibility for deciding where to live and who to live with. Collection of food is also shared equally, dispelling the perception that hunter-gatherer tribes are male-dominated. The anthropologist who led the study at University College London, Mark Dybel, said inequality between the sexes emerged with the advent of agriculture, when people started to accumulate resources. And now for more news developments, we're joined by our news correspondent Samantha Walker.
Thanks, Peter. In his budget reply speech last night, Bill Shorten focused on education and small businesses. Mr Shorten said he would waive the HECS debt of 100,000 science, technology, maths and engineering students, and that computer coding classes should be taught in all schools.
Only through education will Australia fully develop our economic potential, our scientific potential, our artistic potential, our people's potential.
Mr Shorten also called on the government to cut the small business tax rate further to a total cut of 5%. To other news now, and the fight against the drug ice. It appears Victoria's drugs are the most dangerous in the country. An illicit drug data report released today shows the purity of Victoria's methamphetamines has jumped from 10 to 80% in the past 5 years. Victoria's drugs are also getting cheaper, and Australian Crime Commission boss Chris Dawson told the Herald Sun he was very concerned about the state's ice situation. And now to paramedics. Victorian Health Minister Jill Hennessy has warned there is a disturbing rate of post-traumatic stress disorder among Victorian paramedics, saying they face daily violence, sexual harassment and bullying. There were 324 reports of aggression against paramedics in 2014, the equivalent of almost one a day. A survey of Victorian paramedics also found that almost half would not recommend the service as a place to work. And a Victorian police officer is overdue for a shave, according to the Supreme Court. After a 3-year legal battle to keep his goatee, the court has upheld a Victoria Police ban on beards, goatees and soul patches, saying that goatees do not impart any information or ideas. And Johnny Depp is expected to leave the country tonight to save pet terriers Pistol and Boo from being euthanised. Agriculture Minister Barnaby Joyce warned yesterday that Pistol and Boo could be left stateless if the US would not let them back in. And now, back to the studio.
Thanks, Samantha. Public transport should be the easiest option for students coming to university from across the state. But as Nine Rolls reports, many students are excluded from getting concessional fares and are finding it difficult, if not impossible, to pay for public transport.
Under Public Transport Victoria's regulations, only students enrolled in an undergraduate tertiary course are entitled to public transport concession. Postgraduate students require a low-income healthcare card through Centrelink, which is only available to those above the age of 22.
I think it's a shock for a lot of students who've gone to this university and other universities around Australia who've had concession cards to travel, have then gone on to do full-time graduate study here or do a PhD here when they're 21 or 22 and found that they're no longer eligible in spite of the fact that they're still full-time students. So it does come as a shock to a lot of students.
Without concession, students have to pay the full fare despite catching trains, trams or buses to university almost every day. This discourages many postgraduate students from catching public transport.
Really, we've seen over the last few years about $100 million go towards cheaper public transport in terms of the free tram zone and in terms of the getting rid of Zone 1 and 2 fares, when really for about a quarter of that price you could extend concession fares to postgraduate students and international students.
PTV's website provides no explanation as to why postgraduate students aren't entitled to concession. They declined a face-to-face interview but sent a written statement via email.
PTV said there were no plans in the state government to provide postgraduate students with concession in the future and referred me to the Victorian Fares and Ticketing Manual outlining their regulations. When asked why certain students are excluded from concession, they refused to comment.
Many students struggle to cope financially without the discount and are either subsidised by loved ones where possible or are forced to look for other means of transport.
I would rather take public transport for environmental reasons, but it's just too expensive. I'm doing a master's, I'm studying heaps, I don't work a lot. I don't have a lot of extra money to throw around on public transport, unfortunately.
With no plans for change on the horizon, it looks like postgraduate students might continue to suffer this discrimination well into the future. Niall Ross, Newsline.
Thanks, Niall. Still to come on Newsline. How safe is the seafood being imported into Australia? And we'll be having a look at the new Fast and Furious movie.